Hello everyone, this is your host Rohan. I welcome you to our podcast on vSphere Web Client Plugin and QA challenges. In our last episode, Jayant gave us an overview of vSphere Web Client Plugin, while in this podcast, we'll be discussing about the quality assurance and its processes and the challenges involved. We have Mr. Vinod Sharma with us, who is working with Kelsoft as a QA lead and has been instrumental in many vCP projects. Welcome Vinod.
Hey, hi Rohan.
So Vinod, let's get started with the discussion. What is the QA process we follow for vSphere Web Client Plugin?
Okay, so as far the QA process is concerned, first of all, we need to gather the requirements from the client. So the requirements include different features that we will be implementing as part of the plugin development. So after requirements are finalized, we proceed with the test planning. So here we define what are the different test items that are available. So different test items means what are the features that we'll be developing as part of the plugin development. Then the testing approach, we need to decide what kind of testing we'll be performing. So this includes sanity testing, functional testing, regression testing. Apart from this, we need to define the assumptions and risks that are involved in testing during test cycle. We need to define the test schedule and whatever different team members that will be onboarded as part of the project execution. After test planning phase, we need to start writing the test cases for different features, and then we can start executing the test as soon as the feature gets developed. So this is the typical QA process.
Okay. What is the infrastructure requirement for testing the web client plugin?
Infrastructure involves deploying the vCenter server, ESXi servers, and the storage vendors, so whatever the solution. So it can be SGS or hardware solution. We need to deploy different versions of ESXi and vCenter server. And also there are two different versions of vCenter available in the market. So one is Linux based, that is called VCSA, and the other is Windows based. So these are the typical setups needed from the VMware side. We need access to the vendor's storage array, so that the plugin can be tested against that storage array. Also, as part of setup, we need to create isolated environment for Windows for the developers and QA. So for the developers, typically they need systems with tools such as Java, Maven, etc. So this is the typical infrastructure for plugin development.
So, Vinod, what are the different types of test cases involved in testing the vSphere Web Client plugin?
Okay, so as far as the test cases are concerned, we need to design functional test cases first for the various features. Typical features that includes our discovery and inventory, then the storage provisioning, host to storage mapping, data store snapshot. These are the typical features that are supported. So we need first of all to create functional test case for all these features. Apart from the functional test case, QA needs to create the test for the user experience and if needed, performance testing as well.
Okay, so how do you validate the data displayed in the plugin views?
Okay, so in order to validate the data, so first of all, you need to know that most of the storage vendors have REST API, CLI or GUI for the storage management. So as we know, web client plugin consumes the REST API of the storage systems. So while validating the data that is displayed in the web client, we can use storage API or the GUI or CLI and compare the data that is displayed in the web client with the data displayed with storage APIs or GUI. So that is typically how we validate the data.
Okay, so what are the different storage statistics that a user can monitor from the plugin?
Okay, through vSphere Web Client, user can monitor various storage statistics. So typical storage statistics are system utilization, system performance, and system hardware. So system utilization is considered, if you say a user can see whatever the system utilization like CPU utilization, then memory utilization, then disk utilization. So these are all the system utilization parameters that can be displayed. Apart from the system performances, then a user can see these performance statistics like IOP, then IO size, latency, throughput, and if any other supported, then those can be displayed. And also user can see whatever the hardware that is installed inside the storage system, and typical hardware like what are the CPUs, what are the NICs available, what are the memory, so and the status of all the hardware. Typically, this can be seen from the plugin view. Also, the representation can be graphical or tabular. Typically, we prefer graphical interface. So, user can see the graphs inside plugin. So, the graph can be live data or the historical data. So, that depends on the storage vendor's requirement.
Okay, so this brings me to major question of today. What are the different challenges involved in the QA process?
So as far as the challenges are concerned while testing the plugin, if we see the support metrics for vSphere client, it's huge. Okay, so if you see in the market, there are a lot of versions of vCenters available. So the latest version is 6.7, and if you see the previous version 6.5, 6.0, and 5.5, the plugin needs to support all these versions of the vCenter servers. So tester has to scope out the things like on which vCenter server what testing you will be doing. So what we decide is on few vCenter servers we can perform full testing, and on few vCenter servers we can perform the sanity testing only. The second challenge that we see is issues with the web client SDK itself. If you see the release notes of the vSphere web client SDK, there are some known issues with the vSphere web client is the SDK itself. So while testing, if you find some issues, then you need to bifurcate whether the issue is with the vSphere web client SDK or it's a plugin issue. So that is one of the challenges that we typically face while testing. Also in market, if you see, there are various browsers available like Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, then Internet Explorer. Also the web client plugin support all these browsers. Tester needs to test the web client plugin on all these browsers. And the fourth one that I see is typically issue with storage startups. So we have observed like the REST APIs from the storage are not always very stable. The web client plugin is completely based on REST APIs from the storage vendors. So if these are not stable, it might affect the development testing of the web client plugins. So this is one of the challenges that we have seen.
Thanks, Vinod. Thanks for the wonderful discussion. We'll be talking about vSphere and vSphere Web Client plugin in our upcoming episodes. And if you have any queries or if you want some information, please log on to www.calsoftinc.com, or you can send an email to us at marcom@calsoftinc.com. Thank you so much. Thanks, Vinod.
Thank you, Rohan.